I was on Facebook a couple days ago, and a longtime training partner of mine, an Olympic runner, Todd Williams. He's a fellow black belt. He runs Monroe Jiu-Jitsu up in Michigan. And he listed rules or guidance for his students competing in jiu-jitsu tournaments. And I thought it was like really golden, and I wanted to share it with my students and with anybody that happens to watch these videos. And Todd Williams, look him up, an amazing athlete. He set a lot of records, long distance running at the University of Tennessee, and an amazing jiu-jitsu practitioner, probably one of the best training partners I ever had. So if you're in Michigan, around Monroe, I would highly recommend you go train with Todd. So he started off the email, he's like I always tell my jiu-jitsu students, at jiu-jitsu tournaments you might see one, bad sportsmanship from other coaches and competitors. It's gonna happen. There is bad sportsmanship, and it's one of the disappointing things about jiu-jitsu tournaments is the bad sportsmanship you will see in comparison to like judo tournaments. Judo tournaments, they don't put up with that nonsense. Jiu-jitsu tournaments, a lot of times they're just a free-for-all. And mind you, I'm a jiu-jitsu black belt. Like, I would like to say our tournaments, we represent ourselves well, but I've seen everything from students to parents, family members, and even worse, fellow black belts just act a fool at jiu-jitsu tournaments. So, like Todd said, you might very well see this kind of conduct, but be better than that. Don't get caught up in it. Number two, parents and other coaches yelling things that they shouldn't, like break their arm or take his jaw off. Like, I've seen some parents say some crude things, and I'm talking about parents of like 8, 9-year-old kids out there competing, and it's like, wow, that's the kind of advice you give your child? That's the way you raise your child? It's like, man, that's scary. And of course, if there was a parent like that in my school, I would not tolerate them. I would invite them to either change their behavior or find another school to go train at, because I would not put up with that crap. You'll also see referees missing calls. And keep in mind, referees are simply human. They're out there for many of these jiu-jitsu tournaments on their feet, concentrating, making decisions for 7, 8, 9 hours in a day, just straight, match after match after match. And like any human, they're gonna make mistakes. But that's not an excuse for your bad behavior. They made a mistake, chances are in the match, you made some mistakes too. Your coach and their coaching probably made some mistakes too. That's the way life is. We're humans, we make mistakes. We still need to conduct ourselves in the most honorable way. Not, let me act a fool and start a fight. And then sometimes the brackets are gonna be made and they're not gonna be in your favor. And it's gonna be like, oh man, I didn't get a bye in this round, and if I win my first match, my next match is against this reigning jiu-jitsu world champion or jiu-jitsu legend. They got it out for me. No, they don't have it out for you. There's a system of thought that goes into their brackets, and sometimes it's just not going to be in your favor. That's the way it is. Still conduct yourself honorably. So when you see some of these things happen, as Todd says, just ignore and represent yourself in the correct way. Shake your opponent and the other coach's hand after each match, whether you win or lose. Don't go crying off, storming off in a little fit. Shake their hands. Be thankful that they came out to compete with you. Ignore the crowd and the other people who happen to be ignorant. Ignore the nonsense that's coming from the peanut gallery. There's going to be ridiculous things being said, like I said, parents saying, break their arm. Ignore that nonsense. And, I've seen some very unprofessional things said. And it's disappointing. That's the way it is. Shake the ref's hand no matter what. Don't, once again, just like shaking your opponent and the other coach's hand, show that, you're a mature martial artist. That you know how to conduct yourself. Sometimes when you compete in the brackets, they're set up to accommodate as many people as possible, It will never be a perfect bracket. Just compete your best and learn, you know? And then Todd's last piece of advice, which I thought was golden: if your coaches see something that needs to be addressed, let your coaches take care of it. Bring it to your coach's attention if you think something was, done incorrectly, and let them address it, because they understand the art, they understand the tournament rules, or at least they should, and let them address it with the tournament organizers, not you and your 20 family members that are there. Like, don't be ridiculous. Keep everything very professional. And that'll be a more enjoyable tournament for not just you, but for your family, for the other competitors, for your coaches, is if everybody just is respectful to one another and conducts themselves in honorable ways. And like I said, you're going to see people that won't. You're going to see incredibly poor sportsmanship, and just realize that that's their issue, not yours. If a person acts terrible, that's their issue. Don't get caught up in it. Conduct yourself in the most professional way and conduct yourself honorably. All right, that's this week's answer to the question of the week. Got a question for next week? Feel free to comment below, or any comments or insights you have on what you think about what I said, or any other advice that you give to your students and fellow competitors. All right, ciao.